right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon. MMA DFS video. We are bringing it back. It's been a couple of years. Haven't had MMA since 2021. But we are back. If you find this video helpful, great. Hopefully you're used to our MLB videos. Hopefully this helps you out as well. If it does, leave a like on this video. Would absolutely love to see if you guys enjoy this. We're going to try to break it down as much as I possibly can. There's a lot of difference with something like this compared to like MLB, NFL, stuff like that. So with UFC, you basically got your, just these fighters. You don't have matchups to look at. You have these fighters to go with. So sometimes it depends. If the fight goes the entire length and both fighters come down to, just a fraction to take the win, you could have both of those players in your lineup for taking whatever prize down, whatever tournament you're playing in. You could be looking at that. So while I look at this, most of the time we only like to really play tournaments in something like this. So we will go over it. We're going to go over every fight that's on here. If you've never played MMA before, be prepared for a fight to be called off last minute. That is the problem. That is one big thing here. We already have one fight that was called off with Sean Woodson and Jesse Butler. You can see he was supposed to be fighting 3 different ones. 2 withdrew, 1 had a visa issue, and now Woodson is facing someone on late notice. So this is a problem. We'll kind of look at that as well. So we're going to go through all the fights here. I promise you I will probably say some names wrong, but that's okay, hopefully. Trying to make it as big so you can see it. So we're going to go through this entire thing. We're going to look at this. We're going to look at the Vegas odds as well, and hopefully this helps you out. If it did, great. If you do need a little bit more, we do have things on the website, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. MMA tab, we have our bacon station. We have our cheat sheets as well. We're going to have lineups on there as well, but those are going to be starting points to mix and match with the cheat sheet and the bacon station. So don't just copy paste those. I wanted to make that very clear. Do not just copy paste the lineups in and that's it. So that's basically the same thing with all of our sports. So if you need a little bit more help, go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. You can sign up for the month pass for $24.99, which now includes MLB, MMA, NASCAR, PGA, and NFL in just a little over a month, which we're very excited about. Or you can sign up to the yearly pass using promo code NFL VIP while supplies last. You get $100 off the VIP or the NFL VIP code for an entire year, which will include all sports that we offer. So that is what we're looking at. So we are breaking down UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Font. It is in Nashville. So far right now, there are 12 bouts. I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 get canceled between whenever you watch this video and 6 p.m. Eastern. That's definitely something to look at. So we're going to go fight by fight all the way until we get to the main event. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I haven't made an MMA video in a couple of years, so if there are certain things you look for in MMA or if there are certain things that you want to see in these videos, let us know for next week. This is a good thing about being weekly. We can do it each and every week, and things can update and change throughout the week. So, again, like I said, going to murder some of these names. I completely understand that that is a possibility, and that most likely will happen, but we will look into this. So we got Osborne versus Almabayev coming in here. Osborne's 12-5. Almabayev is 17-2. Their last fights, 3-2 here. Almabayev right here, completely 5-0 in his last fights. Betting odds, we do have Osborne as a slight underdog at plus 125, with Almabayev being a slight favorite at minus 150. Now, these odds probably will change. We do have a bunch of stuff. So on our cheat sheet, we have the matchups, the fighters, the win odds, the inside the distance odds, meaning the fight that we think's going to result in a knockout or a takedown or something that won't go all the rounds. Obviously, you get a lot more points with those. So we've got those odds on there. We've got whether or not we like these plays for cash or GPP, the ownership percentages, and then the FanDuel and DraftKings salaries on the cheat sheet there. So looking at that, it really just depends. Basically, these two fighters are they're 2 inches difference here. For whatever reason, Osborne has a 72-inch reach, but they don't have the reach here, which it really doesn't matter. I mean, it does a little bit. Obviously, the longer the reach, the easier you might be able to make contact, knock somebody out. But if you don't have that, there is grappling as well, and we will possibly get more points for takedowns and stuff like that. So looking at this fight and looking at the odds and looking what we like, we are ranking the fights inside the distance, like I said. So especially in tournaments, the quicker the fight ends with a knockout or anything like that, the more points you get on DraftKings. And typically the higher scores over there as well. So that is the goal. The higher the score, obviously, the better you want. So out of the current 12 fights, for this one to finish inside the distance, currently, we are looking at this as number 7. Inside the distance finish at minus 135. So the best one is, we'll get to the best one here. But so overall, this is the inside the distance fight. This is one maybe I will be looking at a little bit. I think this is probably only a tournament for me. The fact is, Osborne is $10 on FanDuel and $7,600 on DraftKings, where Amabayev is considerably more, $20 on FanDuel and $8,600 on DraftKings. So you can see there's a $10 difference there and a $1,000 difference between the two, and that is where most likely they're predicting him to win, and the fight is basically right in the middle. So probably only GPP for me. Probably if I have any exposure, I'm going on this side here, and then Osborne for tournaments as well. So not a huge I like, there's other fights that I like and other fighters that I like a little bit more here, just with the discrepancy of, and again though, MMA, anything can happen. Osborne could land a knockout punch to the jaw 10 seconds into the match, and you saved a ton of money with using him for $10 on FanDuel. So there's a lot to go in there, but this is kind of what we're looking at. So this is the very first fight of the night, and that is what we're looking at for all of the information for you. And obviously, like I said, on the website, we have a ton of information and how we've built it out with our projections. So go check out our cheat sheet over there. So looking at this, you can see, yeah. And the cool thing about this website is there's a ton of people that watch this. They vote on this. And you can see thinking, KO, TKO is the most amount of fantasy points. Submission is the second most. And then overall decision. All of these will add up to points. So we can look at that and we can check that out. So if we look over here, and we go, let's just do our salaries here. Or let's go fight number 1. There we go. And this will be this is the first fight. So we look at Osborne. We look at this. You can see all of his fights, all of his past fights here, averaging 54.4 fantasy points per fight, 12-5 record here. His last fight, he hasn't fought since February 25th. Got the W there in 3 rounds via decision. He had 48 significant strikes. He had 3 takedowns there, no reversals, and controlling time was 353. So you get more points for controlling time there. So significant, you got strikes at 50 and significant strikes at 48. And then you can see he had 70 fantasy points in there at 7,200. So they put him up 400 here, but that's about it. There's not much going on. It's been a while, and you're going to see this with fighters. Some will go every once a month ish. And then some won't go for months on end. So it's been 6 months since his last fight. And then we look at his opponent here. Hasn't fought here. So this will be his first one on here. This one will be where, hopefully, if you're just a casual DFS player, you'll see that people will see this and be like, oh, well, he hasn't fought yet. Maybe he's not good, and go the other way with Osborne, where we can go here. So that is why you're going to see some with no win-loss record. That is why you're going to see some with no fantasy points per fight, because they haven't fought in this realm for us to have any information. But that is why we have the cheat sheet, and that is why we have our Bacon Station, which will have, the percentages of significant strikes, takedowns, stuff like that, to help you build out these lineups a little bit better. So hopefully that helped you out a little bit on this one. The next fight is Sean Woodson versus Dennis Bazooka. I don't know how you say his last name. Not going to lie. Looking at this, Sean Woodson, the Sniper, versus Dennis the Great. You can see it's kind of crazy that Woodson has 9 or 8.5 more inches of reach on him, and he's 3 inches taller. Looking at that, I mean, not bad. Not bad at all. Then we look at this. We have this fight right now, the last fight to end inside the distance. He has taken this fight on, I want to say, like 3 or 4 days notice, which would lead everything to Woodson. But we'll definitely look at that. So we got Woodson here. His last fight was last August. It's been almost a year since he fought. So this is, like I said, this is his 4th different opponent, which is crazy. He is getting a fighter who's making his UFC debut after posting an 11-2 record and last fighting on June 16th. Woodson, it's crazy that that many people have backed out of fighting him for this fight so far. His last fight, like I said, has been almost a year. Came with a draw in 3 rounds, or decision within 3 rounds. 73 significant strikes. This is the only problem, though. You look at the Vegas odds and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that can happen here because it's been so long since he's fought. We don't have any. The odds here, as of now, we have Woodson at a 192 favorite, where Dennis is at a 160 underdog. There is no projections for inside the distance finish. So this might be a fight that GPP only, or probably looking a little bit away from it. Maybe avoid this fight here. Woodson's at 9,600, where this dude is at 7,500, so not much going on there. 7,500 coming in on short rest, just fought in June, and Woodson hasn't fought. You might be looking at him as a tournament option. It might be a sneakier option, just because a lot of people might not know much about him as he's making his debut, and we can take advantage of this. But MMA is one of those sports where I'm probably making multiple lineups anyway, just like any other sport. But this one is just one of those fights that are up in the air because we don't know what to expect, as hasn't had a lot of time to prepare against the opponent. So that being said, we can kind of look at this. Woodson in his last 4, he's got 5 starts, a split decision, so no win, no loss 11 months ago. And then, it's been, he barely, Woodson, 3 years, 9 months, so 9 months in between there. It's crazy how much time in between his fights he takes. That might bring up something as well and make him an underdog, but Vegas just doesn't think that. So if I'm taking one, I'm probably taking Dennis here, just because he's younger. He's 6 years younger. He's fought recently, only a little bit over a month ago, and then 4 months before that, and then he's been fighting and fighting and fighting. So his stamina is probably up there. He's probably good to go. I wouldn't be surprised to see Woodson get knocked out, to be completely honest with you. So looking at that, probably fading Woodson, looking at Dennis here, and saving that money. So you could see $7,500, saving $2,100 compared to Woodson there. So that is my thought in this fight. We will look at the next fight, Hadley versus Durden, 125. We can see the White Kong versus Durden. He doesn't have a nickname. Just a slight favorite. Anything can really happen here. So when anything can happen, we've got to take into effect and look at other things. So you can see his last 5 starts, he's 4-1. He hasn't fought 3 months and 4 weeks ago, and then also 4-1 here. Just fought 2 months ago. So looking at this fight, let's look at Hadley here first. 10-1 is his record. 77.6 his fantasy points per fight is what he's averaging. He has 3 fights with the UFC. Looking at that, his last fight came back in March. Had a KO, TKO. So he would have had the points, 105 points there. Time before that, Hadley had 109 points there. And then the fight before that, over a year ago, 19 points there. So at 8,800, we've got Hadley. He is currently a favorite, and actually has inside the distance odds to at 120. So obviously the lower the number, the better the odds of this fight happening and ending early. And we've got this currently we have this ranked at 6th fight overall that could end inside the distance, which would obviously mean more points for us. So then we take Durden. We look at his numbers. He last fought in April. Got the win in that one in 3 rounds in a decision, so didn't finish early. He had a ton of control time at 10 minutes control time. Obviously, more control time, the more points you get. He had 56 significant strikes and 11 takedowns in that, with 80 strikes, 129 fantasy points out of him there, while he's averaging 70.9. Durden is 7,400, while Hadley is 8,800. I kind of like Durden a little bit more here. Got a better record. Averaging less fantasy points per game or fight here, but I'm looking at Durden, the underdog, DFS-wise. I don't mind him at all over Hadley. Next fight, got Billy Quarantillo versus Damon Jackson. So as you can see, 17-5, great record. Jackson, Action Jackson, is 22-5. So we look at this. Quarantillo here, his last fight came in April, got the loss. Only went 1 round, got knocked out. Only had 19 significant strikes, had 9 fantasy points there, 139 control time, absolutely demolished. The time before that in December, got the W with a TKO, KO, 125 fantasy points. 76 here and 141 there is what we're looking at. So with this fight, we have this number 3 overall ending early inside the distance. Quarantillo and then Jackson here is coming off a loss in January. Got a huge ass forehead. Was TKO'd here. 36 significant strikes, only 15 fantasy points there. He is 7,300. And he's only averaging 55.3 with a 22-5 record. And then Quarantillo here at 8,900. Really like Billy here more than I do like Jackson. I think this one probably does end in a KO or TKO, and we could be building our lineup with him. So kind of look at Quarantillo here. Like I said, I like Durden there. So I'm not going to build a full lineup, but I'm showing you what you can average when you take, we've got more fighters to build out through there. So that is this fight. I'm probably looking at in this one. I think Quarantillo is more of a GPP tournament where you could use Damon Jackson for both. Just the price difference here. Quarantillo on FanDuel is $18 and Jackson is only $13. So there's a lot of money to be had when you take lower priced guys, especially on FanDuel when you're building out here. So, but we are using DraftKings here. So this is one of those fights that I do believe will end inside the distance. Someone's going to get a TKO. Let's get some exposure to getting that TKO. Next one is Jeremiah Wells versus CARLSTON Harris. So we'll look at this fight here. Wells is currently just a slight favorite, very slight. Anything can happen in this one. So we'll look at this one now. So Wells here, his last 4 fights, all wins. Last fought April 22nd, lasted 3 rounds. It did come down to a decision. He had 36 significant strikes, but he had 11 minutes of control time for 105 fantasy points. So his last 3 fights have all been over 100 fantasy points is exactly what we're looking at. So he's only $100 more than he was in April, and I really like that. So Wells is there, and then Harris is here. He's 3-1 in his last 4. His last fight against Gooden in March ended in decision, had 10 minutes control time, 113 fantasy points. Time before that, he got knocked out for only 6 fantasy points in 1 round. Time before that, he knocked somebody out for 110 fantasy points, and then the other one he got a dub for 94. So at his price at 7,700, I do believe both of these. I think both of these fighters are great for cash or tournaments. It doesn't really matter. I don't have any preference on either side of that. I think we're pretty good on that front there. Looking at this fight here, this one is our second best ranked fight to end inside the distance. So I think you're going to want exposure to both of these fighters. I think you're going to make multiple lineups with them in it, and that's kind of my thought in this one. So I do like this fight to end inside the distance. Someone is going to get knocked out. Hopefully, we are on the side of the person that does get knocked out. So really like this fight. This fight is one I will be targeting on both sides of the aisle here. Next one is Barcelos versus Phillips. Let's go up here. We look at Phillips first. You can see he's his last 5 fights, he's 4-1. None of these. Okay, one of them came. It hasn't been since 2020, so he doesn't fight a ton. It's been over a year since he's fought. He hasn't fought since February of 2022, at least in the UFC. He went 3 rounds there, got a submission on the guy, only controlled it for 3 minutes, which is kind of low for a submission. 99 fantasy points. He's never broken the $100 or the 100 fantasy point barrier here. Don't know if that's going to change here at 9,000. Kind of a little bit higher up and expensive for me. We'll look at that. He is the considerable favorite, though. He's very expensive at 9,000. He's $21 on FanDuel. Probably does take the dub here. I don't know if it's going to be inside the distance, though. I don't know if it's going to be a takedown here or it's just going to go to decision. This one, actually have this one as the second worst match to end early, so I probably am going to avoid this fight altogether. I think this is one that you can avoid. Barcelos here hasn't fought since January. Got a loss there, TKO'd out. Didn't control any time there. Got absolutely demolished. And his price, this is just one where this is a fight I'm probably avoiding. So probably just going to go ahead and avoid the Barcelos versus Phillips fight. There's just other fights that we can take advantage of more than what we've got here. And that's probably what I'll be doing in this situation. Brings it to the next fight. We got Ignacio Bahamondes versus Klein, if I said the name correctly. So we'll move up here. 9,100 there. Klein is 7,100. You can see there is a difference here. 4-1 record here. All of these have gone 3 rounds, so you do get some points here. One of them has ended in a KO, TKO, which has been his best fight there. We're looking at this fight, though. I don't like that. This is another fight that if I'm targeting for tournaments, I'm probably going away from this one in tournaments. Not a ton to like. And then we got Klein here. Hasn't fought since March. Was a decision in 3 rounds. 41 fantasy points. There's nothing here. He's averaging 59. I don't like this. Could he obviously land a lot of significant strikes? He could. Could he land a TKO or knockout early? He could as well, but the odds of it are not that good right now. Klein is actually a huge underdog with like massive underdog here. Got him at a inside the distance odds to end it early, plus 400. So Vegas doesn't think it's going to be very good either. And I'm probably inclined to continue with what Vegas thinks because that's how they make their money. So this is another fight that I'm probably just going to avoid altogether and move on from there. So I don't want much to do with this fight at all. Then we got Tanner Boser versus Kamur. So looking at this, Boser here, or Boser, coming off, I mean, he's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He's gotten KO'd twice in that time. He's averaging 52.8 fantasy points. He's got a record of 20-10, so he's 500 overall in his career, and only one decision in his favor. Not too good. Or looking at that, yeah, he's coming off 2. He hasn't fought since April, so it's been a little bit, but yeah, I probably am going to completely avoid Boser somehow, though he is the favorite. But this one right here is not a good one to end. This probably goes to decision, and I don't really like that there. You got Boser versus Kamur. Overall, he's 1-2 in his career. All have come down to decision. None of these points here. If you want to take it, I would take Boser, but I'm probably going to avoid this fight as well. There's just other fights on this card that have better chances and better odds in this one. So I will be avoiding the main card here, 205. Next one is Gavin Tucker versus Diego Lopez. You can see a little bit of difference here. You've got Lopez here has 6 more inches of reach on him. He's got 5 more inches in height, and he's younger. Boser is 37 years old, so you always got to look at least the younger person. They're gonna, more times than not, they're gonna have more stamina and easily, should be able to outlast. Should is the key word there. Not saying they will, but we definitely can look at that. So, looking at this, Lopez here, he's only fought 1 time back in May. Didn't do too well, 23 fantasy points there. Got the loss, ended in a decision. So not much going on there. He's 8,300. And then you got Tucker here at 7,900, who, again, he's older. Like I said, he's 37 years old. We look at this. He fought back. He hasn't fought in 2 years, over 2 years. He must just need money. Hasn't fought in over 2 years. Got KO'd in that one. I'm pretty sure this one, if I recall, we did play that. We had this one when we used to do MMA, and it was like 10 seconds into the match. It was very short. I'm avoiding Tucker here. I don't want anything to do with Tucker. He's the underdog, which is crazy because he's 7,900, and Lopez is 8,300. So there's only $400 difference. I'm taking Lopez here. Big fan of Lopez for both cash or tournaments. Probably avoiding Tucker altogether when I'm building my lineups. Then we got Dustin Jacoby versus Kennedy, that last name. So we're looking at this. Jacoby here. Let's look at their stats. So you can see Jacoby here, 83-inch reach is a massive reach. 6'5" compared to 6'3", basically the same amount. Kennedy, the African Savage, is 4 years younger almost. And yeah, he's the favorite. I think there's a reason he's the favorite with this. I like both of these in tournaments, but I don't really like either of these in cash. You're looking at this. He's 3-2. He's coming off back-to-back losses, April and then October. Both of those came in decisions. Less than 50 fantasy points there for Jacoby, so that's why he's only a tournament option for me. And then the African Savage here, he's coming off of 3 straight wins. It's been a while. He between fights, he did 3 fights last year. This will be his 2nd fight of the year here. He ended up with a win in 2 rounds last time with a sub, had 105 points, at only a little bit more here price-wise. I like it here. I would rather have the African Savage here. I think he gets more than his average fantasy points per fight here. And looking at this matchup right here, we've got this one probably to go the distance and not finish inside the distance. It's very close. This is one that I'll probably have exposure to, but hopefully it doesn't go the distance. Hopefully we get those extra points and we can get another 100+ fantasy points out of him here. Then the second, the co-main event, Jessica Andrade versus Tatiana Suarez, we've got here. Basically, both same amount of age, basically. The reach is similar. It's closer than the other ones. It just depends on what kind you want to look at here. So we got Suarez here, averaging 116.1, 5-0 in her last 5. Got 2 subs here, 2 decisions, and 1 knockout. With the knockout is 157 fantasy points. Obviously, that's what you're looking for. This fight, we have it as number 1 to target finishing with either a KO, TKO, or a submission before the distance. So looking at this, I really like Suarez here. For both, I think she is the clear-cut winner in this one. Andrade, we're looking at this. Last fought in May, got KO'd, had 5 fantasy points. Fight before that in February, got the loss, submitted out, 22 fantasy points. January is the last time she was significant here, but yeah, I want nothing to do with Andrade. I don't think she stands an ounce of a chance here. I would be all in on looking at Tatiana here as well. And then that brings us to our main event. We got Corey Sandhagen versus Rob Font. Let's take a look at their stats and everything we need to look. So Sandhagen is 5 years younger. The reach is basically the same. Sandhagen's 3 inches taller than him. He's a slight favorite. So we look at that. Sandhagen here, coming off of back-to-back wins. He's 3-2 in his last 5. Hasn't fought since March, and then before that was September. Ended 5 rounds, a decision. Had 121 fantasy points. 187 strikes, striking a ton of significant strikes as well. 9,300. There's a reason he's expensive, and we're looking at that. And then we got Rob Font. Looking at him, 3-2 record, hasn't fought since April. In between, then it was a year between that, and then it was 5 months between that. He's coming off a W. He got a KO, TKO in the first round. Only had 33 significant strikes, obviously, because he KO'd him quick. Is coming off back-to-back here, but he's an underdog, a pretty big underdog. I'm taking Sandhagen in this one. Font, maybe if you want to go contrarian tournaments, I don't mind that. But going Sandhagen there, you could look at that and build through there. So that's kind of where I'd be looking at building. And then you can go either. Almost anybody you could build throughout that, since you can average 7,400 a piece there. Bringing that down. Yeah, so you could be looking at that, and you could check inside the distance. We've got this one finishing possibly 4th overall of all the fights that could finish early, which I do think it probably does with Sandhagen defeating Font in that one. So that is what we've got. If you found this video helpful, let us know. If you enjoyed it, also let us know. And if there's enough love on this video, we'll continue the videos each week along with the cheat sheets, the bacon station. So that being said, good luck to everyone playing MMA this weekend. Let's bring home some bacon. Peace!